Hello and welcome to another episode of the AI Show. Hello! I should be much clearer now. I realized last week, someone, my friend from Germany was like, hey, you looked pretty fuzzy. And it wasn't the halo around your face. And I realized I was streaming at like 1280 by 720. And I was like, oh no! So now, for better or for worse, you have me much clearer at the moment. So, yeah. Good morning, everybody. Where is everybody coming from? I'd love to hear where everyone's coming from. And let's talk a little bit about what we're doing today. Get my handy dandy share my screen here. Handy dandy chalkboard. Okay. We have been spending a goodly amount of time looking at prompt flow, and we really haven't even gotten to the bottom of it. And it, I know that in like when we're doing this show, it's a little bit longer, and I could make these. I'm going to make some short snippet videos that go through everything in prompt flow, so you can make your LLM inspired applications. But I want to go through it in a way that everyone can like ask questions, and I can go slow and people can understand. So if you're watching this later, that's why this may seem longer. I'll make shorter videos. It's just more fun live. You know what I'm saying? So today, prompt of flow, part 3. Yeah, that's French. Le français, prompt flow, part 3. What we're gonna do is I realized I forgot to add some data source. So we're gonna add a data source. Add a data source. 2, we're gonna continue evaluation, and then a surprise with the evaluation. Something that when every time I show it to folks, and I might have showed it last time, but I'm gonna pretend I didn't. I'll show you what evaluation is, and then maybe what I'll do is, because I see there's some new folks here. Maybe what I'll here, oh shoot, I need to select. How do I select things? Oh, it's not working. That's okay. What I'll do is I'll in a 1A for those that are coming in, like a 0, like a review of what these things are. Because I know some of you are coming here for the first time. I'll add a data source, do some evaluation, and then we'll do some deployments. Deployment, if we have time. So that's what we're doing in prompt flow. Today, again, some of the opinions that I present are obviously my own. Some of them are having to do with the product feature. So I'll tell you when their opinions are my own. Because I have strong opinions about how LLM applications should be built. But that doesn't mean that you should build them that way. And that's okay. We're all a multitude of people learning and doing wonderful things. All right, let's see where everybody's coming from. Let's see, we got hello. I'll move this over here. Hi, Renan. It's good to see you, buddy. We have Ari from Le Paris. Bienvenue, mon ami. C'est un plaisir. We have Recife, Brazil. Hello, my friend. Obrigado por tudo. Look, I know you're at work, but this is a work-related show because this is a Microsoft training. You can say that, but with a little bit of fun. From the 9th Island. I don't know where that's from. Aloha Kakayaka from the 9th Island. I don't know what I just said. I know aloha means kind of like hello, right? Is that right? Hi, Andreas. It's good to see you, buddy. I am going to do a review a little bit. So, folks, DF Meta. Oh, hold on. DF Meta. Bienvenido, amigo. Hi. Question: How to do streaming response when deploying endpoints in prompt flow? So it turns out that's a great question. We'll start with that. It turns out we're enabling streaming on the last node if the last node is an LLM node and there's no previous LLM nodes inside of prompt flow. This will be clear to those that don't know what I'm talking about. But what happens is, because prompt flow works with a directed acyclic graph starting from an input source and then spreading out and then going down to the thing, we can do streaming on prompt flow only if the last node is an LLM. Because we don't know, like, for example, if there's an LLM before you're doing an LLM call inline, then you may have a situation where we have to wait for that output, so we can't stream the whole thing. Funny, huh? 11 Times Square. Welcome. Oh man, I used to live in New York. I live in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, New York, and I live in Staten Island, which is almost New Jersey, but we don't say that out loud because people get mad. From Las Vegas. I lived in Las Vegas. I'm not kidding. I lived in a place called Henderson, Nevada, which is basically Las Vegas, right next to it. And my high school's name, the name of the high school I went to was Basic High School. Basic. That was the name of the high school. Mr. Aloha can confirm that there is such a school in Nevada. They will tell you. I know it says Mr. Aloha, but I don't. Okay, let's go back to our screen and let's get to work. Let's see here. So, one thing I want to mention quickly is if you go to GitHub.com, if you Google with Bing GitHub communities and go to this thing and then go to discussions and then go to machine learning. This is Cassie and I answer questions here. So let's do a new discussion. What tools do you use to build LM apps? Go here, by the way. Go here. What tools do you use to build LM apps? I wanted to ask folks what things they were using to build LM aplicaciones. Not the model itself, but the prompt engineering tools. Interested in your thoughts. By the way, English is such a weird language. Like, look at this. What is this? What is this? There's a G in that word. Thoughts. Let's start this discussion. Boom. Now, if you all want to go there, if you're doing stuff, go to github.com/org community discussion 65207. Maybe we can get a little discussion going there on maybe you're doing stuff already. Yeah. So that's this goodness here. Let's make this a machine learning thing. Machine learning. Boop, boop. One participant. Let's add more folks here. Nice. So yeah, this is the place that we go to answer and do questions because GitHub's awesome. And I figured why not? Oh, machine learning pipeline. Is it possible to know from a given story what algorithm can be suitable? Ooh. Oh my gosh, these things look like they were ChatGPT generated. Yeah, these look like ChatGPT generated. I don't mind people doing that. I don't mind people, because this is our kind of our discussion area. I don't mind people doing that, but maybe disclaimer at the beginning. I'm using ChatGPT for this. Okay. So I just wanted folks to know about that. I put just a new one. Let's refresh here. I wonder, how do I pin this? Let's pin this to the top. I forgot how to pin. Pin this discussion. Pin. Boop, boop. All right. So now when you go there, you should be able to find it at the top. I think I'm going to unpin this one. Unpin. Unpin. Okay. All right. So now, by the way, this is the community area for GitHub. But there you go. There's some stuff. Okay, let's go back to our Contoso chat store. Just a reminder, if you're looking at this stuff, when you build LLM applications, you gotta treat this stuff like a language model. A lot of people tend to look at language models and are like, "Oh, this thing is so magical." I mean, it is, but I mean, it also isn't. All we're doing is we're building a prompt of 4,000 tokens. Those tokens go into the LLM, the large language model, and out comes one token. We'll do one token, and then what happens is this is then replaced into here, and then we have this one plus this one, right? This one token. This goes back into the thing. And then out comes another token. And then this repeats until either the stop token is reached or the number of tokens, max tokens, goes in there. So the job for building LLM applications, particularly with prompt engineering, is this: building the prompt that yields or maximizes the probability of getting a response that you want. So effectively, this thing right here becomes like a giant language calculator, if you think about it. And sorry for my writing, but like, it's like, hey, so the idea is, well, we have this database, so we're gonna get a paragraph from here. We have this other data source, so we'll get another paragraph from here. And then we give it some instructions like, you are a blah, 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 blah. You help blah, 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 blah. And then we add some final instructions. And then we add, for example, like the chat history. And then this thing gets dumped into the LLM again and then it returns the text that we want. So that's what these things are. I know it's not as cool sounding as everyone else has made them out to be, but that's what these things are. And once you think of them like that, it becomes really simple to write applications, but really hard to tune them correctly, because it's the prompt that makes everything work. And so that's what tools help you do. And hopefully you'll go to the GitHub community page and tell me oops, I went to the wrong spot. So I'm gonna keep this up so I can get folks in there. LangChain, nice. Cool beans. Likes, dislikes. What do likes, dislike? How to use? And incidentally, when we like, when I show this stuff, I know it looks like this is like, oh, you're building a new LangChain. No, that's not what we're doing at all. That's not what this is. This isn't a LangChain competitor or a semantic kernel competitor or whatever new thing you do thing. This literally is a way to orchestrate things. So for example, in this node, I could make it all one node and have it all be LangChain. It's the tooling support around evaluation and deployment that I think is really cool in this stuff. Okay, so yeah, just wanted to double. There is a basic high school, and that's where I went to. Haifa, Israel, thank you for coming, my friend. Thank you. All right. So what we're going to do is, I forgot that when we're doing this, I want to also get some customer data in here. So prompt flow, what it does is you start at the top with some inputs. Effectively, you're designing an endpoint. This endpoint takes the question, takes the chat history, and a customer ID. It embeds the question into vector space just so it can do a vector search inside of cognitive search. And then you can see that each of the documents that are returned I just expand them into the prompt text. That's what's happening here. Might as well be an F string, but it's Jinja. And then finally, the chat LLM itself. I am just ripping the prompt text directly in here. And the reason why I have this in a separate one is because I can do what are called variants. I don't think I talked about variants. We'll maybe I'll talk about it in a second because it's kind of a cool thing. So there is this thing called the system prompt and this thing called the user prompt. I'm not sure why they do it this way. Maybe it has something to do with the training data, but the concept is still the same. You basically are putting text into an LLM and getting a response back. Okay, so here's our Cosmos DB. We have some customers in there, but wow, they have been some busy shoppers. Huh. Look at that. Not a clue. Okay. So there's me. Hey, look at you, Seth. So for those that are wondering, I make samples and demos for like conferences when we show this stuff, like at Build or Ignite coming up. And so this is this data. So even though it looks like, wow, this is so easy, the reality is the matter is getting your data in order is the hard part. That's the hard part. So this is this thing. Let's pull some data in from here because we have a customer ID coming in. So we're going to add a node. And let's change this thing to customer lookup. Customer lookup. I'm going to change the name of this to customer. So for those wondering, it's this tool thing that tells prompt flow, use me. That's how it knows, for example, when you're doing this, trace, that's how it knows that this is a thing. And you notice that there's a little arrow. I can actually use the tool thing inside. Like I could say like def inner function, inner function, right? And we can say string, and then return hello, right? If I mark this thing as a tool, it will show up as a sub thing, kind of like in the chat. Do you see that? There's a sub. There isn't one here. So yeah. So maybe I won't do this because it's like making it a little bit more complicated. But this tool thing is what tells prompt flow, hey, I'm a thing you should look at. Okay, cool. Nice. So we have a customer ID. So customer ID, I think I'm passing it in as a string. Yep, I'm passing it in as a string. Boop. And scroll down here to customer lookup. We also need a connection to Cosmos DB. And so let's save this here and let's go to flows. And remember to connect to other things with prompt flow, because the idea is prompt flow is just like a grabber of things and then putting into a prompt. Notice that the connections that we can create are these ones. We have content safety, Azure OpenAI, cognitive search, custom OpenAI, quadrant, SERP, and Viviate. We're adding more. I think we may be making it so you can add your own custom ones, which would be really cool, but I don't know. Don't hold me to that. So in this case, because there isn't a Cosmos DB one, we're going to use a custom one. And so let me show you what it looks like when you create a custom connection. Test conexión. Cool. What's the problem? Oh, okay. So you give it a value. So key and then value. Key to value, and then you can add this. You can add like a password, and my secret password. So we'll boost the and so what you do is you save this thing. And so imagine it's like kind of like almost like an environment. Not environment, but like environment variables that you're storing in a package. So I've already made one of these for my Cosmos DB connection. I don't want to be leaking my keys. But you can see that there's one, and it looks like I am going to have to make one because I got to point it to the other thing. So there's the endpoint, there's the database ID, and there is the thing. So what I need to do is I actually need to make a new connection because I did not do that. So we'll do custom, and we'll say Cosmos Contoso. And I need a couple of key value pairs here for that. So let me go over here. Hold on. I got to remember what key value pairs I need. So connection. So I'm opening my other Cosmos connection over here so I can remember. So we need an endpoint. We need a database ID. Contoso Outdoor. Did you see that? So we'll go back to connections, and then we need a database ID. What was it? Contoso dash outdoor. Yeah, right there. Oops. Contoso dash outdoor. Then we need to know the container ID that it's in. Container ID. And this is just standard Cosmos stuff. So it looks like we have carts and customers. Okay. So this one was so that I could show that I showed a demo at Microsoft Build where the person currently logged in was able to ask questions and was able to reason over what was in its cart, which was kind of cool. And then we have stuff that they purchased before. I'm going to use the purchased before one. So customers. So that's the table ID I'm going to use. Hold on. What was it? Customers, lowercase. And then, Avi, there is a key that I need to put in there that I'm totally not going to show you. So we're going to add a key here. I'm going to move this over here so that you're not stealing my keys. Let me go to my key here. Primary key. Nice. Hold on. Cosmos does something weird where... Here we go. Okay, so here's my key. And if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm basically adding the key here. Well, let me move this before I leak my key. There you go. There you go. Now I won't leak my key. There you go. Okay. So connections. Notice that what I've done is I've made a new connection that points to my endpoint, Cosmos DB, my database ID, and my customers, and then my key that I've secreted away. So I'll hit save. Nice. So this is the way that you connect to other things inside of prompt flow when you want to grab something. And you can make your own custom ones. And that's what I was showing. So let me make sure I look at stuff. Semantic kernel. Yeah, I haven't used... I know there's a Python version. I looked at all the code. It's very interesting. Very interesting indeed. I prefer Portuguese. Muito bom. Eu também. Oh my goodness. They changed it since then because there was definitely not the gifted people there last time. What's the URL to use what I'm working on? Oh, great question. It's ml.azure.com. ml.azure.com. You probably have to have an account. We're working on ways that everyone can use this stuff without having to log into here. But stay tuned. Stay tuned. Do we get .NET support in prompt flow? I asked. So we'll see. It says I'm pixelated anyways. Maybe that's a good thing, you know? I will say that I am shooting this out now at 1080. Let's double check that. Yep, 1080 at 38 frames per second. So that's good. But if I'm pixelated, that's my bad. I am wired. So okay, so this connection now should be in here. Cosmos connection. What was it? Where? Cosmos Contoso. Let's sort these by when we made these. Wow, I made these before the feature was done, and so you can see that it doesn't, like, who made it doesn't even show up. All right, so Cosmos Contoso. So let's go back to our search thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to need a custom connection. So let's do from prompt flow dot connections import custom connection connection. Nice. And then what we're going to do here is we are going to get a connection, and it's going to be of type custom connection. So let's do this. Let's validate and parse the input here. Notice that once you do that, it will start to put these things in there. So let's hook this up to what we want. Customer ID comes from the inputs customer ID, and the custom connection we want is the one we just made, Cosmos Contoso. And as soon as you do that, notice that it starts to get wired up. Do you see that? And so right now, it doesn't wire up like you're not like dragging things around. It's wired up by the function signatures and the inputs that flow into it. But a custom hint, Andreas. Yeah, it's great. Do I look non-pixelated in this case? Maybe I should look pretty crystal clear, which again may be a blessing or a curse. Not sure. Okay, so notice. So I'm glad I did this because for those that are watching, I built this whole thing like 2-3 weeks ago. And it's cool to add another node so you can see what's happening. Take a drink here. Because now you're getting a sense for like why it's called prompt flow. The thing you make is a prompt. The data flows. So flow prompt or prompt flow, whatever you want. There you go. So now our job is to connect into Cosmos DB. So from azure.cosmos import Cosmos client. Now, as you're looking at this, you're probably wondering, well, where is this actually running? Because if you're familiar with Python, how does this package even install? So the way these things run are on these things called runtimes. And each runtime represents like a special conda environment or whatever. I made this particular environment, and it looks like this. So for those that are familiar with Docker, it's basically, this is just the environment that you're running in. It's pretty cool. We're going to make this easier so that you don't have to do this. But the reality is that this is why I can use Cosmos, because I pip installed it. And then inside of prompt flow, you can create runtimes based upon those customized environments. You see that? So that's how you make them. And so when it's running on top of this compute called Sauron. Yes, I have indeed unleashed the Dark Lord. That's where it's running. And if you look at Sauron, you can see that it's using the custom applications feature inside of Azure ML to do these runtimes. So here is the Cosmos one that I'm doing. It's an application. It's a Docker container running inside of this machine. So when I say it's running, when I run it, it's running on that machine. All right, so Cosmos client. So let's write some code here. client equals Cosmos client. And we need a URL, which comes from the connection dot endpoint. Remember, that was the thing that we built. And then the credentials we are going to use are the connection.key. Nice. So now we've got the client. Let's get the DB. So database equals client.get database client. And from the connection, we're going to get the database ID. Okay. So far, so good. Nice. The container now that we're going to get is going to come from the DB. db.get container client container ID from the connection. So notice this is a Cosmosism. I'm getting a client. I'm getting the database client. I'm getting the container client, which is like the table. And now we just need to get the record response container.read item, and then the item we're getting is the customer ID, and then partition key equals customer ID, and then we're going to return the response. Okay, if this works the first time, I will be scared. All right, let's see what happens when we run this little humdinger. All right. From Poland, welcome, my friend. Welcome. Another question. Custom connection. Cosmos Contoso. So let's go back over here. Prompt flow. Connection. Cosmos Contoso. Yes, it does. Oh, unless. No, that's right. Custom connection object has no attribute endpoint. All right, let's just try it again. Maybe there's something wrong here. Okay. Beep, 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 beep. So here's a question. We'll look at that in a second here. So you could eventually have different environments, different languages. Let's say Python and C# containers. Different for each task. It's desired, convenient. Looks great. Yeah, I mean, that's the goal. Right now, we're supporting Python. When we build stuff, we don't like to put stuff out if it doesn't work all the way. So I have made the suggestion. Everyone always asks me this, so I always relay the information. All right, so let's go back here. What weirdness are we talking about? Cosmos, let's try this one. See what happens. So this is spelled wrong. Let's change it back. And let's hit play. Let's save it and let's run it. Yeah, but it doesn't have an endpoint business. It's making me grumpy. Of course it does. I put it in there. Custom connection object has no attribute endpoint. Oh, there's a space, you goober. Oh my goodness. I'm such a goober. What am I doing? We need to... I'm going to write this down. Take out my note. taking app. We should really consider calling trim on all keys and connections. Boop. That's a good one. If this works, my goodness. That was so dumb. My bad. Wah, 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 wah. Oh, I'm like saying my bad and there you go. I totally forgot that I had like a whole arsenal of things. All right. Looks like that's working. And you can actually take a look at the output as well. So notice that we're getting Jane Doe, and she got 7 orders. Sweet baby Thor. That's a lot of orders. I know. This is yeah. Those moments when you're debugging something and suddenly, oh, I see. And your inner self is like,
Self, what are you even doing? You little weirdo.
and that's what my inner self sounds like. So that's my inner self. My inner voice is, this is what it sounds like almost always. Hold on. That's my inner voice. Now you know what's going on. All right. That was dumb. Now we want to put this stuff into this prompt. Customer lookup. So let's do this. Let's take a look at the I only hear Seth's inner voice when I turn on the volume. Yeah, me too. I try to turn it down, but I mean, it is what it is. You know, you can't stop the voices. But would you want to? I mean, it's good company. Okay. All right. So this prompt now, we're going to put some stuff in there. Let's just do the thing. Let me show you another thing. So chat history, documentation, previous orders. Use their orders as context to the question. So what I'm going to do is let's save this and let's take a look at the output here so that we can get a sense for what it looks like. So if we take this object itself, we can say output.orders. Output.orders. So we'll say like this, output, we'll use it. This is Jinja, by the way. For item in how do I want to pass this in? Let's see if this works. Where's my Cosmos DB? Come here. Well, that's not helpful. Go away. For item in orders, and then we're going to say and for. And for. Oops. Nope, not that. Oopsies. And for. Okay. And then let's take a look at this here. So we'll close you. There's a name and a description. Let's just do the name. Name. Item.name. and then description. Item.description. So let's try that. Cool. Okay. So when we do this validate, there should be another. There you go. So this would be the customer lookup and then dot orders. Oops. Okay. You see how as soon as I did that, this thing started to link up. All right. So let's save it and let's run this. See if we're getting the right thing. Here we go. So as I'm writing this, hopefully you're starting to get a sense for what this is, right? Very good. You are a Condoso, you're a helpful assistant. This is what you know. This is the documentation. Blah 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 blah. Documentation. Yeah. By the way, if you're wondering if I'm stuffing too much in here, you can fit about 7 pages of a Word doc roughly into a 4K token prompt. That's what I calculated like forever ago, and I just keep saying that. Okay. Is this... I'm not seeing the output. I'm not seeing what I want. I wish it would put more line breaks in here because it's so hard to find this stuff. Let's do this here. Just to find it. Because let's make sure, because I think if we look at this output, there's definitely something in there. Oh, no, I want this output, sorry. There's definitely something in there, orders-wise. There should be 6 of them. And maybe it's just like looks like that. But let's run it again. Let's run it again. See if I can't get the thing go. By the way, this is what LLM applications. Here's a really good question from on. I pushed wrong. This is what I want. Okay. The question is, should you aim for filling the prompt considering how billing works, or should you aim for a minimum viable? Okay. So this is a great question. And what I've been learning, and I don't know, it's up to you to take it as you will. When you try to make AI do too much in one go, that's when things go wrong. However, if you get AI to do simple things, like a very specific task, like answer a question about my order, you can get it to do a pretty good job. But if you try to do a thing that's like everything, then that's when you get into trouble. So let me show you how I think about these AI systems when we build them. Don't try to make that one prompt flow do everything. So for example, let's just say you're, I got to turn this on. And I honestly, I think like Copilots are awesome, but the chat interface is going to just go out of style really quickly again. I mean, it did in 1997, so why would it not do that now? So imagine you're building a customer service application, customer service, and you want the LLM to help you out. So if it were me, I would break the problem up into its constituent parts. First one being, what do they want? This is intent, for example. Then once you do that, you can build an LLM prompt flow to just figure out intent. Or you could build a standard machine learning model to figure out intent. Because it's a simple categorization problem. Because up front, the customer service thing, let's just say it's a chat bot, it's going to be like, how can I help you? How can I help? And then this is the important part. I can help with, and then you put the specific things it can help with. The problem is when you try to get it to do everything, that's when you're just going to fall off the rails. And that's where things start to go awry, and that's where you can't measure stuff, etc. So first you build the intent prompt flow, for example. And then you use, once you're satisfied with it, you build this one for like another prompt flow for returns, right? Now you know the customer wants to return something. So when the customer's like, hey, I want to return my tent, the first thing you do is like, okay, they want to return. Now we're going to send them to a returns prompt flow. And in this prompt flow, you fetch data. Like, for example, did they even order a tent? Right? So like the person at the computer is going to be like, beep, beep, beep. Like, let's pretend a person does. Let me look up. You want to return? Oh, okay. I see you bought the Trailmaster X4 tent. What's going on? You can do that with an LLM because you would inject their previous purchases into the prompt to figure out which item they're trying to return. And then you build this prompt flow. And then you keep going. Like, I think that the question of like, make it do everything, I think that's not a good way to design software. Do you know what I'm saying? It just feels like you're doing too much. So to answer your question here, should you aim for filling the prompt considering how billing works, or should you aim for a minimum about? You should aim for the smallest possible thing, and then you should narrow the use case for each prompt flow so that you can measure success. I mean, that's what I would do. But you know, little old me. Okay, so let's go back and let's see if it actually, had the output. We should see a lot of. I don't see it. No. I don't know why it's not in there. Let's see here. Oh, looks like I answered the wrong question. Go figure. I was, however, thinking more of overall length of the prompt, including all injected lookup data. Yeah, you got to keep it to 4,000 tokens, as you know. And the reality is, depending on the task, I don't know the answer. It really is just a question of the task and what do you need to put in there to make it work. And that's where you start to use things like science. Which is basically glorified guess and check, which is what prompt flow is supposed to do. But indeed, this is basics high school thinking. Yes, indeed, Mr. Aloha. You nailed it on the money. On the money. But you're right. You should also think about cost. Absolutely, because you pay per token. So you got to manage costs. And so right now there's a lot of trade-offs that you need to be thinking about as an engineer when you're doing this. Prompt size is directly correlated to cost. But if you could solve and automate certain tasks that hitherto were required to be done by a person, that's awesome, because now that person can not have to spend their day doing crappy work. You know, we are uplifting humanity. One LLM app. Hold on. We're gonna make this. We are uplifting mankind. One prompt at a time. Thank you. Wow, that felt good, huh? You know what I'm saying? Wow. I felt. Oh no, the robot's here. They found me. Oh no. They found me. I don't know how, but they found me. That was dumb. That was dumb. Gosh, I'm so dumb. Why is it not showing up in the prompt? Huh? Let me see here. Let's do this. Let's take this out. Let's just do item ID and see if something's going on here. Something's not right. Let me undo this and let me run it in actuality. So Control Z, save. Let's do the actual test, and then let's do this here. Here we go. Okay. Thank you for that, glorious. So let's take a look at the trace here. So there's the data. Let's look at the prompt. Maybe I'm not doing it right. Am I not holding it right? Yeah. There's the chat history. So maybe I'm not referencing it right. For item in orders, for item in chat history, item.name. Let's double check. Nope. Where's my Cosmos DB? Where did I put my Cosmos? Where are you at, Cosmos? I don't know what I do with my Cosmos DB. Oh, let's see. Oh, there it is. Orders.name. Yeah, this is what programming is, folks. It's like, am I typing this right? This is basically all of programming. Am I typing this right? That's it. There's no, I mean, this is the job. I'm sorry for those that are watching that are young and are like, I really want to get into this. Yeah, this basically, it's all about, am I typing things right? Let's make sure this is typed right. Yep. And then for item in orders, and I'm getting customer lookup dot output dot orders. Yeah, that's right. Let's take a look at how I've done it before. Let's do this. No, that looks right. Customer lookup dot output dot orders. I'm out of time. Time for the walk-off music. All right, we'll figure this out next time. But the cool thing about this is now we're starting to get like a full-on prompt flow. Next time on the AI show, we are going to be, I don't know what we're doing. I made this thing to show what we may be doing. A look back on some cool shows or something else. Something. Oh man, it's been a privilege being with you today. We've been looking at prompt flow. We went through and started adding some nodes. I made a mistake. We'll fix it next time. It's always a pleasure being with every one of you because I love seeing what your questions. Everyone pay homage to our robot overlords if you can. Thank you. It's a privilege and a pleasure. Thank you so much for being with us. This has been the AI show. We've been learning all about prompt flow. The part 3, we'll do some more parts and hopefully get this application finalized and built. Also, I have not forgotten Rochambeau. Maybe we can do some LLM-inspired Rochambeau applications like that. Get the LLM to play with us. As always, a privilege and a pleasure being with every one of you. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you next time on this, the AI show, live every week, Mondays, 8:30 Pacific. Take care.